Home, the gold.
He could be too far. No, he's kicking. Oh, what a catch!
Puts a spicy forehand out in front of Naomi Morcilla.
Move for the win. Team Canada. Garrett Wu!
Santos with the layout grab.
Oh, that fantastic grab. The claws of Chapa.
Canada just became the world champions.
Canada and the rest of the world, you're listening to the Huckin podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Theo, recording out of Toronto, Ontario today, and doing something a little bit different. So I'll handle the intro. Danie's going to pop it in the news, and then I'll do the main events, which is Regionals preview, and then also Steeltown and the Quebec Provincials that's happening in the Canadian College Series. So lots to get to. I'm in Toronto for a reason. I'll explain maybe another episode when I'm back in with Danie and kind of announce some news on my end. But yeah, just with schedules lining up, Danie and I just had to record differently. So one thing I will say is you should be a subscriber. I think I say this all the time, but you should be a subscriber. Field Pass is going to be happening. Something revolutionary going to be taking place. So all the regionals happening this weekend, 7 out of 8 regions are going to be filmed, which is wild. Sometimes we get games at different regionals and maybe a game to go, but on Sunday, the extravaganza will be taking place starting at 9 a.m. Eastern. So West Coast folks, you got to get up early. The only caveat I'll say is Northwest Women's will not be filmed. It's at a different location. So I think just with that setup, it's just going to be difficult. But all the other regions will be filmed: Northeast, women's, men's, and mixed. For those people tuning in those Canadian teams, but also the other regions are part of that. North Central, which is where General Strike is, will not be happening this weekend, so we'll talk about that in the preview. But check that out. I'll be hosting with Keith Rayner, so really excited for that opportunity, and then we'll have guests come in throughout the day. So join us this Sunday, kind of extravaganza taking place, and if you want in on the action, you got to be a subscriber, so go and do that. So that's the kind of get to know you part. Go Blue Jays. They're making a big playoff push. So go Bluebirds. Hoping for the best there. So right now it's going to be the news, which is Danie, and then it'll pass it off back to me for regionals preview.
We now have breaking news.
All right, welcome to your news section. Danie flying solo here. So first, a couple things. We have Bring Your Disc to Work Day. This happens annually with Ultimate Canada, and they're excited to announce that it is happening again in 2023. So September 28th, all day, bring your disc to work, your school, your community, wherever, and it's an opportunity for you to share your love of the sport with those around us. So if you bring your disc to work and you take a photo, you can tag Ultimate Canada and either use the hashtag BYDTWD 2023. So bring your disc to work day 2023. They will see it and you'll be entered into a contest. You can also do a social media contest. So you can do a GIF, a video, a meme, or anything else creative. Make sure to tag Ultimate Canada and the hashtag bring your disc to work day 2023. So you can send it on Facebook, Instagram, or email. So again, just tagging Ultimate Canada, and you could be entered in to win some prizes to be judged by their excellent expert panel. In other news, we just completed the East tryouts for Team Canada WUC held in Australia in 2024. So 100 athletes took the field at Sunnybrook Fields in Toronto this past weekend. There were 2 full very, very, very full days of tryouts. Single gender mostly on day 1 and then split to mixed on day 2 with a bunch of scrimmages to finish it out. All the best players putting it out there on the line. What I noticed as somebody who was there was that I just felt like watching all of the athletes compete, my own body hurt. That's how hard everyone was pushing themselves. That's how many full extension layouts there were. Multiple layout points for certain people where they were just like layout, get up, layout. It was just incredible. So really, really fun to see all the best players out on the field. Coaches definitely have some tough decisions ahead of them. In terms of timelines, October is when coaches are starting to deliberate. So after the West tryout, and offers will be going out early November. Moving on, we have Grandmasters results, which was a tournament organized by Ultimate Grand Montreal, so the North American Grandmasters Championships. We have some Canadian winners here. So I think they called it North American Grandmaster Championships because there were some American teams there, but it was mostly Canada. So on the women's side, we have Solstice from Ottawa winning the whole thing. So this team also came 4th overall USAU Masters. So they have had success already this season. So they go 5-0-1. So they had a tie, which is interesting. So it was a double round robin. There was a 12-12 game to start their tournament against Rosie. Otherwise, they won all of their games. So Rosie, also from Ottawa, finished 2nd overall. They had a split series of Joy Huck Queens, but with the tie, they technically finished with a better winning percentage than Joy Huck Queens. So it's pretty funny. Some of these scores kind of come through and their margins for victory versus not victory is so small. So within a point, they were able to overcome Joy Huck Queens here. So Joy Huck Queens from Toronto, they have some Queens Peas players. They come in 3rd overall, beating Folklore, also from Toronto, twice. So congratulations to all those teams for their success. In the open division, we had Ensom winning it all. They finished 5-1 alongside Critical Mass from Massachusetts, but they win based on score differential. So as I said earlier, everything kind of came down to the wire here. So they ended up having a win 13-8 and lost 13-9. And so point differential by 1. Grandmasters of the Universe from Winnipeg also there in attendance, and Torontosaurus Rex also in attendance. And so we had Ensom finishing 1st, Critical Mass finishing 2nd, and then Grandmaster of the Universe 3rd. In the mixed division, we have Circa from Toronto winning it all. So some Union legends out there, including Matt Kirk, David Shimoda, and current coach Warren Tagg. We also had Kate Jardine over there as well. Another legend, Monica Coster was on the team. They ended up going undefeated, beating Notorious Old 11-9, who also went undefeated in pool play. So in this division, there was just semis. So the top 2 teams out of the pool ended up playing. So FOMO from Winnipeg and Quadra out of Quebec also made semis, with FOMO coming in 3rd. Happy Campers from Victoria comes in 5th overall, beating Global Aging from Montreal. Another thing, we just kind of appreciated that it was fun to actually have some American teams there. So we had Default from Vermont and Vintage Ultimate Club also from Boston. 2 Ottawa teams there, Pushing Daisies and Rolling Bones. Theo in particular really likes this name. And also I Need to Sit Down from Montreal. I really like that name personally. So that's it from the news. Not a lot to report, but Theo is going to have all of the regionals previews after this quick break.
Hey, this is Sam Burge from the University of Manitoba, your 2022 Huckin A D1 College Women's Coach of the Year. And you're listening to the Huckin A podcast, your coast-to-coast guide for all things Canadian Ultimate.
Thank you, Danie. We are now in Club Regionals preview. So we're going to start. There's a lot going on. So we're going to start right away. Starting with Northwest Men's. 12 teams, 3 bids. The Canadian teams in action are Furious, the 3-seed overall, 1st seed in Pool C. Currently 19th ranked in the Ulti-World Power Rankings, 13th in the USA rankings. They'll take on Shrimp out of Salt Lake and Sawtooth out of Boise, Idaho. Don't really see them having trouble in that pool. Surf is also going. Victoria Surf, love to see it. 12-seed overall. The 3-seed in Pool B, they're going to have to contend with Rhino Slam, which is the number 2 overall seed. They're in the top 10 in the Ulti-World Power Rankings. Still a pretty good team that hasn't really put together so far this season. And so, I think they're going to surprise. I don't want to say surprise some people, but they're definitely going to be a team that you have to watch out for if they put it together, because they got a lot of talent. Okay, and then they also play Switchback out of Seattle, 2nd team in their pool. So Surf in tough there. Winners of the pool will cross over. 2 3s also cross over. And then there's a 1st place bracket. Then there's a game to go bracket. So if you lose, let's say the 1st place semis, you'd play the winners of the 3rd place quarters. So those are teams that kind of lost in the crossover. Go check out the websites. It's way easier than me trying to explain that. But essentially, based on what I've seen on these schedules, if there's 3 bids, first and second already get bids. There's no like that second place, which has happened in the past where second place plays for plays like the winner of the game to go or something like that for like another seeding. I guess that would happen maybe if there was like 4 bids, but with 3 bids, basically first and second will automatically go, and then there's a game to go for the 3rd bid. Okay. For Furious, they hold a loss to Sockeye, which is 11 in the Ulti World Power Rankings right now at Summer Solstice, which is their only loss on the USAU season. They did beat Rhino Slam in the semis of that same tournament, and then they also beat Dark Star in the finals. So this team looking to make it back after not attending nationals last season, and they're going to have to contend with Dark Star potentially again in a game to go situation, or they could do pretty well and then not and have to avoid that and just kind of win the semi and then go right into getting a bid. Okay. Now let's go Northwest mixed. This is also in Lacey, Washington. 16 teams, 3 bids. There is 4 clipped pools, they're going to call it. Okay, so we got Red Flag. That's the main team we're focused on right now. I'm not sure why they're calling it clipped pools. It's just pools going on there. So I think it was originally clipped. Now it's just regular pools. So they're the 2 seed overalls, first in Pool B. They're ranked 8th in the USAU rankings, but 19 in Ulti World's Power Rankings. So a little bit discrepancy there. They're going to play Quick Draw out of Logan, Utah, Igneous Ultimate out of Bend, Oregon, and Squid Ink out of Bellingham, Washington. I'm just going to go on and say I don't think they're going to have too much of a problem in this pool. Similar setup with the crossover, so that's going to be a theme. I'm not going to explain the format too much as we go forward. This team has 2 losses on the year. They lost to Scorch 13-12 of quarters at Fruit Bowl. That team is like lower than them in the rankings. They're 21 in the USAU rankings. And then they lost in semis to Crocs at a tournament earlier in the season. But this Crocs team will make Nats out of the Great Lakes, in my opinion. So they have yet to play BFG, which is a top 5 team in the country, or Mixtape, or Moondog. So Moondog's going to be the big test because Red Flag sent them packing and stole their bid last season. So Moondog looking for revenge. So keep an eye out for that potential game to go for Red Flag. Now, Northwest Women's already set a different location. So they're in Burlington, Washington. I don't know the state too well, but I believe there is like a difference in distance, okay? So, interesting setup. There's 10 teams, 3 bids, but like one pool has 5, the other has 3. So, go figure how that works. So let me take a look again. Yeah, 11 teams, not 10. But one pool has 5, the others have 3, okay? So we'll talk about traffic first, a 2 seed overall. They're number 9 both in Ultra World Power Rankings and the USAU rankings. They'll play 7 Devils out of Boise and Seattle Soul in their pool. Drift got to take on the 1 seed overall. 7 both in Ultra World Power Rankings and USA rankings in Oregon Schwa, excuse me. They'll also have to contend with Seattle End, Dark Sky out of Utah, and Portland Raincheck. Hucklebears, which had received a bid, if I'm not mistaken, not attending this tournament. So, talking about traffic, they got a good start to the year. They had that big win over Molly Brown in pool play at PEC West, and they also beat Riot, who's in their region, 14-7. They did lose to Molly Brown in the finals of that tournament. US Open, they didn't make quarters. They ran to Brute Squad in pre-quarters, and they also lost to Schwa that same tourney. And then at Pro Champs, not the best results for them. They went 1-3 in pool play, and they lost to Sixers in the 5th place semis, 14-6. They did get a couple wins over Parcha in that tournament. I don't think, of course, a bid is in question for them, but you want to try to get a high seed. I think it's pretty clear the 3 teams that are going to go out of this region. So I know Ulti World has done like spice picks before. I don't think this region is in particular very spicy. I don't think Seattle End will. They're the 4 seed. I don't think they will have. I don't think they will give either of those teams, Riot, Traffic, or Schwa, any trouble. So I think those 3 seeds are going to go. But hey, maybe Drift. Let's talk about their results. They have a win over 7 Devils and Portland Raincheck on the season. They did lose to Remix. We talked about this on a recap a long time ago out of Alberta. They went to SFI East, got a few dubs there, went 3-3. Then at sectionals, they lost to Underground and Seattle End, but they do have wins over Seoul, Rain Check, and the aforementioned Huckle Bears. So Drift a little up and down, but hey, they played Canadian Nats, and yeah, they're just good development for the second team out of Vancouver. And looking at the Women's Washington Sectional Championship, Huckle Bears did obviously get a bid because all teams were able to go, but then they declined it. So, or I think maybe it was like 5 out of 6. I can't remember off the top of my head. But anyways, Huckle Bears declined their bid. That's all what you need to know. Normally we would sweep across the country and go to North Central Men's, but we are going to skip that for today because they're not playing this weekend. So we'll talk about General Strike next time. Now we're going to go to Northeast Men's, Devons, Massachusetts, the legendary fields. I've played there once, and I wish to go there another time because that is a immaculate field complex. There's been many an upset there. I remember, I believe it was Garuda versus Pony. This is many years ago now. Jeff Babbitt was on Garuda, and he had the game-winning disc in his hands, kind of on a huck play, kind of going over the shoulder. He flubbed the catch. Eventually, Pony won that game and sent Garuda home. It was a game to go, but that was like one of the best opportunities for kind of the second team in Boston to make it out of against this Pony side. That Pony side had like Jack Marsh and like Chris Mazer. But that's a far cry from the Pony we know now. So anyways, we're going to talk about GOAT first. They're the highest Canadian seed. There's 4 Canadian teams going to this tournament, so that's pretty exciting. GOAT is the 3 seed overall, the 1st seed in Pool C, 13th in the Ultra World Power Rankings, 15th in the USAU rankings. They'll be taking on some good teams, though. Blueprint, the 6th seed overall. Sprout, I think Sprout's very dangerous. I know GOAT is aware of them, and you got to keep an eye out for this game. I know it's the 1 versus 3, but Sprout is a good team. And I know they lost some of their players to Dig, but they're a good team. And then I don't think, have problems with the 4 seed in this pool, Alibi, out of Albany. So shout out upstate New York team right there. Number 4 seed is Phoenix. So Phoenix is seeded below GOAT, even though GOAT lost to this team at an American tournament. So take that for what you will. They're the 20th in the Ultra World Power Rankings right now. Is Phoenix. They have Scoop out of Boston, so the second team there. Scoop only has 2 losses on the year, and it's to Dig and General Strike. So keep an eye out for this Scoop team. Red Circus, 10 seed overall. In the original schedule, it was actually flipped. So Sprout would have been in Phoenix's pool, and Red Circus would have been, I believe, in GOAT's pool or another pool. But now Red Circus in this pool. And then there's Mystery Box, which is a super fun team. Jay Clark's on the team, if you know who that is. Jacob Taylor, Anders Olsen, Charles Weinberg, John Lithio are some names I recognize from like AUDL or other club teams. So this team could make some noise. They're the 4 seed in this pool, 15 seed overall in a 16-team tournament. But they got some vets out here that can make some moves, okay? Now there's Mephisto, the 7 seed overall. They're second in Pool B. They're going to have to contend with Dig. Dig is number 6 in the Ultra World Power Rankings. I had a chance to call their game at US Open against Buzz Bullets, and they look pretty good. Mac Hecht was the best thrower on the field, and Dig didn't have all their players. So, I mean, I think they're going to be even better. So it's going to be a tough game for Mephisto, but we wish them the best of luck, of course. And then there's Colt out of Connecticut. I love the name. They're the 3 seed in this pool, 12 seed overall, and then there's Shade out of New York. So similar format as I talked about before with these other like 3 bid regions. So GOAT, as I mentioned, they had taken that loss to Phoenix at SFI. At PEC West, they came 4th. They do have losses to Sockeye, Revolver, and Rhino Slam. So all some pretty respectable and top club teams out there. I would say their best win is over the number 2 team in Ultra World's Power Rankings right now, which is Chain Lightning. So they have a 14-11 win over them. But of course, that's earlier in the season. But a dub's a dub. So I'm not really gonna say like, oh, it's early season. They still got to win over Chain. So now for Phoenix, they went undefeated in that tournament. We mentioned SFI. So they beat Delirium out of Georgia, 14-13 at sectionals. They didn't really have many issues. So this team, could they steal a 3rd bid? Keith Rayner believes that they can. So we'll see if that comes to fruition. I'm just going to look right now to see any other results for this Phoenix side. I believe they only went to SFI. That's why they are not in USAU's ranking. So that is correct. They're undefeated on the season right now in USAU play. They also have a win over everyone's favorite meme, Mallard. So they have a win over them at SFI East in the quarters. So good luck to Phoenix. Now for Mephisto, the only thing I can talk about them is that they played sectionals. They won it all. They got big W's over Tire Biz Frizz, the Tire Business team, twice. So you know how hard it is to beat the same team twice at a tournament? Mephisto did that. So that could spell good omens. They're going to have to, it's a dogfight out in the Northeast region. Like, you take a lot of these teams kind of in the middle of this region, they come to CUCs. I think they do pretty well. So this is a very tough region. Red Circus, they came 11th at regionals in 2022. It was it was long ago, but in 2019, this team tied for 5th, if I'm not mistaken, at Northeast regionals with Phoenix. So that was a long time ago for Red Circus. They got some of those players back, but it's kind of like some young blood in there as well. Some young bucks, as they would say. So this team trying to make some noise. Let's look at what they did at sectionals. They lost to Dig 15-8. They lost to Scoop. Otherwise, they beat Big Wrench. They beat Mystery Box. They beat Big Wrench twice, actually. So, this team obviously didn't have a great CUC. It goes without saying. But they're looking to rebound. Okay, it's a little closer to home. So hopefully they have all their O-line guns and their D-line grinders out there. And looking at 2019, they did tie for 5th. I don't know if that game was actually played, but so this team was close. Okay, back in 2019, I think COVID maybe affected things a little bit, but this team was close. So perhaps they're trying to ignite some of that once again. Now we're gonna look at Northeast women's. So we have a few teams playing, so we got to talk about them, of course. We got Sixers out of Toronto, 2nd seed overall, 8 in the Ultra World Power Rankings and USAU rankings. They'll be taking on Brooklyn Book Club, Plow out of Northampton, Massachusetts, and Versa out of Boston. I'm just going to say I don't think they're going to have too much trouble, but you never know, okay? I have faith in them. So we have Iris, the 2nd seed out of Pool D. They're the 5th seed overall. They have a spicy matchup with Starling out of Northampton, Massachusetts, and I'll talk about kind of the results throughout the season. But they're pretty close in ranking. Iris is 17 in USAU rankings. That's the algorithm, and Starling is 16th ranked, so pretty close there. And they also have to play Frolic out of Portland, Maine. Salty, the 3 seed in Pool C. Apologies once again, Salty, for calling you Stella. So I'll own that again. I got a message about that. I'll own it. Sorry, Salty. You are not Stella. You are Salty out of Halifax, the true East Coast. You're the 3 seed in the pool, 9 seed overall. There are 13 teams in this tournament. You'll be playing New York Bent, 10 in the Ultra World Power Rankings. And people have been hyped on this Bent team, but I got to see the results. And then there's Boston Siege, the 6th seed overall, 21 in Ultra World Power Rankings. Similar setup as Northeast men's and kind of those other 3 bid regions I talked about. So Sixers has been to 2 tournaments. US, of course, I'm not really talking about the Canada series when we're talking about them participating in the US series, okay? So they went to US Open and Pro Champs. They finished 7th at Pro Champs. They had some close losses to Fury 12-13 and Molly Brown 12-15. At Pro Champs, their dubs were against Grit, Riot, and Traffic, which we already mentioned. I will say they haven't really beaten kind of the teams in the top tier. So like a Fury, Molly Brown, Scandal, Brute, Flipside, because they dropped a game to Flipside at US Open. All those teams I just mentioned are like in the top 6 in the Ulti World Power Rankings. So that's like, I would say like the top tier. And we know Sixers has been there before semis and even the finals very recently. So this team, people are going to talk about they missed pieces, blah, blah, or they've lost some people. But hey, they got some reinforcements too. We saw that up on their Instagram. So hopefully some of those reinforcements can help them here. We're going to talk about Iris. They were undefeated at Boston Invite before it got rained out. No real national quality teams there, though. At Logjam, I love how they call this just Logjam, but there were just games against Starling and Siege. They did get W's over Siege and Starling. They also took losses to them. And then they dropped the rematch at sectionals to Starling 11-9. So take those, I think I talked about it in the news when it happened. Take those results with a grain of salt when it's just like a random round robin just to get games in, okay? So I can't map you out the path for Iris, but there's hope, okay? There is belief that they can get a bid. They've been to nationals before in the U.S. and they can do it again. So for Salty, there's no USAU data for them since 2019. So like that they're back. They came 6th all the way back then. At sectionals, they lost to Siege and Vice, but they do have wins over Versa and Frolic, teams that they might see in this tournament. And now we're going to go the last region to talk about, division. Northeast Mix, also in Devons, of course. 16 teams, 3 bids. We have Union, the number 4 seed overall. They're going to take on Wildcard, which is the second team in their pool. Union's 44 in the rankings. Wildcard is 51. They will also have Heatwave and Buffalo Lake Effect in their pool. And then you thought there was only one team in this region. That is not true for Canadian teams. There are 2. It's Lax out of Montreal. Was told, a lot of those players had played Lab. Make out the name you will. Lax, maybe they're more relaxed, more chill team. Probably they don't practice, and they're just here to play some games, okay? They're going to have to deal with Slow, which is the 15th ranked team in USAU's ranking, 17th in power rankings, out of Boston. And then they're going to have Funk out of Newburgh, New York, and Garbage Plates out of Rochester. Maybe we'll talk some of those names next time with Danie. We got a fun email about that. So this is it for both of these teams, their seasons. This is, for all these teams, this is a chance for eternal glory. Okay, folks, a chance to make nationals and go to San Diego. Super exciting, okay? Union's only one loss in USAU play is to Bench, 9-8. I'm just going to look right now to see where Bench is seated in this tournament. They're not going, so they didn't make it. Oh, that's tough. So Union has one loss. They did win a tournament in heavyweights. They beat Lake Effect pretty handily at that Rochester round robin. And then they went undefeated at sectionals where they beat Lake Effect pretty handily. I'm just trying to see why. Oh, so Bench didn't make it. Yeah, they didn't make it at sectionals. They lost to Crash before Crash then lost to Lake Effect in the game to go. So tough that's not a great loss for Union to lose to a team that is not even at the regional tournament, but that was earlier in the season. They obviously have played a lot of games since and played in the Canadian series as well. Lax, they just played sectionals and went undefeated. So they took care of business. And so that's your regionals preview. Remember, I said this in the intro already. Make sure you drop into Field Pass, be a subscriber. You'll hear a familiar voice, not just mine, but Keith Rayner's. If you watch any Ulti World, you'll know his voice as well. And there'll be some cool guests to join us. So check that out. I'm going to take a quick break. Going to come back with University Preview. That one will not have a break, so we'll do Steeltown and then the Quebec tourney finale, their final tournament to determine bids for nationals. So we'll see you after the break.
Hey, this is Daniel I, co-founder and captain of Danger Noodle, your 2022 CUUC co-bronze medalist. And you're listening to the Huckin podcast, your coast-to-coast guide for all things Canadian Ultimate.
All right, it's main event numero dos, number 2. We're talking University Series. College Series is happening. Power rankings have dropped. People hard in the comments. We love it. Keep the engagement up. It's great. So first we're going to start with Steeltown. I was talking to Michael Lincoln about this. Abrametz, by the way, last name. And talking about how Steeltown actually started. A lot of people don't know this. The young kids coming up in the game don't know that this tournament's been around for a while. So we're going to do a quick story time before we do the tournament preview, okay? So the Steeltown Classic was actually known as Fake Nationals in 2012 because Nationals was held in BC. CUUC was held in BC. I know, hard to believe nowadays. This was a lower travel and cost option, so most Ontario teams stayed and attended. So Mel Olivieri and Steph Kimmerly at McMaster kind of masterminded this. And after that season, it was named, it was held by the same club, McMaster, and then Ultimate Canada named it as a qualifier event. And so, this is a cool story. Without having consulted with McMaster Ultimate. So unbeknownst to Ultimate Canada, McMaster was having trouble finding fields and had planned to cancel the event. Ooh, this is a good story. Melissa Vandersloot, now a Crux captain, was able to make it happen and continue the legacy. So this event has continued over the years. Of course, different weathers. One time I think it was almost canceled due to heat warnings. So this has run for many years. It was the 10th anniversary last season. And previous TDs and volunteers were provided with a commemorative tournament director long sleeve. So this is going to be a list of people that I want to give a shout out to, because these are people that helped make the tournament happen. And before this, so for those in college, before this, there was just Easterns and Nationals. So this was the event that kind of added that third tournament. I mean, we know the season's only 6 weeks. So the fact that there's a third tournament here, we got to give some love to McMaster. Whatever you're doing right now, take a pause, pat yourself. No, not pat yourself, but like give them a high air claps or high five or something, because they did a lot to kind of expand and allow this tournament to happen and continue to grow. So without further ado, over the years, the tournament has been planned, directed, and scheduled with help from various MAC alumni, honorary alumni, and family from past to present, including Sean Coombs, Robert Godfrey, who founded Boat, Molly Coiter, Michael Link Abrametz, as I already mentioned, CUUUC captain and founder, Roy Perez, Alana Perez, Ashley Ray, My Fanny Pope, CUUUC founder, Becky Abrametz, CUUUC founder, Albert Mack, Harry Tratnick, Gabriel Yu, Emmett Brundage, Safina Shajini, Amanda Hadwin, and Sasha Palmert. And now there's this year's TDs is Jan Dick, or Jan Dick, I think it's Jan Dick, and McKinley Schmulansky. So thank you. Hopefully I got all your last names right. Didn't check for pronunciations beforehand like I would for a broadcast, but thank you, McMaster. And as I say that, let's go preview. So women's, 9 teams, 1 pool of 4, 1 pool of 5. Start with Pool A. Your back-to-back champions. Number 1 seed McMaster, number 2 in our power rankings. I think they should win this pool. They're going to have to do with some of their major big-time stars. So Jess Gao has gone to Toronto. Sasha Palmer is in Ottawa, and they don't have Amanda Hadwin, or who had played for Sixers, by the way, and Safina Shajini. So some big losses for this team. Okay, it goes without saying. They're going to have to rely on a lot of players that played CUUUC this season. So they're going to have to rely on that chemistry to continue to produce how they've been producing the last few years, which is tournament dubs, okay? They got some junior players coming from Toro. Olivia Filippetti, the Oaxaca sisters, and then Hillary Bohm Edwards from Wicked West. Kind of retool the squad. Now, they got a great matchup with Toronto. Number 4 in our power rankings, number 3 seed overall. Looking to improve on last year's 6th place finish. They lose multiple Sixers players in Jade Huang Fu, Ty Malile, and Sarah Marr. The former 2 are back coaching. They get some dyno help in Emily Zhang and Emily Yen, along with Chloe Merritt, who played for McGill and Venus. But the biggest get has to be, I would say, the top transfer in the women's game or women's division this season, which is Jess Gao, who helped McMaster win those championships I mentioned. 2nd runner-up for Player of the Year in our awards. They also return Alicia Zhang, who was the Rookie of the Year, 1st runner-up, got a lot of U24 experience on the mixed team. And then Jocelyn Lee, who played for Sixers and was our Offensive Player of the Year. So they're retooled, okay? They're going to also have to take on another Toronto team. That is the number 10 team in our power rankings, TMU. They got some decent results last season, but they're going to have to do it without Carissa Chan, who played for Incognito. They do have a couple Incognito players, and Ava Pearson and Michaela Power, and they bring in Althea Piaquinto from Danger Noodle. Now, there's Western, which is the last seed in this pool, 8th seed in our power rankings. They bring back Montana Danie, or Danie. I'm hoping I got that right, from Incognito. A few other players who got experience with Crash and PPF this past summer. But you got to talk about their recruits, okay? They got Tammy Doe from Drift, and then probably the number 1 recruit in like kind of the eastern part of the country. Keep an eye out for something that might be coming out. I'm going to just hint at that. We'll actually see if it happens. But Danae Jan is coming, we knew about this from an interview we did with her and Griffin back when the Prime Penguins won their 4v4 title. But Danae Jan is going to Western. She played for the U20 team, Red Flag, as a junior and is a 2-time junior champion. So big recruit get. Western has told me that, they're really excited about this rookie class. So I expect them to do big things. I'm going to say the games to watch for this is going to be MAC versus Toronto. Of course, the rivalry from last season and in years past. And then TMU versus Western. See who gets the 3rd seed of that pool, or potentially even a 2nd seed if they can make some noise. Now, Pool B, 5 teams. You got the 2nd overall seed, Queens, 9 in our power rankings. Why are they so low? Well, they lost some firepower, okay? They don't have Katie Saborski anymore, the first runner-up for Player of the Year, and Tess Whitman, who was the second runner-up Offensive Player of the Year. They have some vets in Valerie Vujacic and Sophie Elwood. They have some help coming from Grace Gauthier from Wicked West and Aisha Hall-Smith from Toro, and then Sydney Hubbard joins them from Western, who played for PPF. But not the same kind of star power they had in the past. So I think, I understand why they're seeded the way they are based on their tournament finish, but I'll give a hint for my picks. I don't think they're going to finish that high come Sunday. So a team that I'm super excited about is Ottawa. They're the 4 seed in this tournament, 3 seed in the power rankings. They had a disappointing finish. They came 8th, but they've retooled. Okay, so they bring back Naomi Peterson, who was the Rookie of the Year last season. U24, played with Iris this summer. Alex Wardle from Stella. Emily Beausoleil was our second runner-up for Defensive Player of the Year. And they have a couple other Stella players, Emily Beaulieu and Anna Manuel. But what I'm really excited about is the fact that they have a huge core of Wicked West players coming who just came second, which is their best finish ever as a program. So Hannah Grichik, Kate Clement, Lily Shannon, Mackenzie Roussel are joining the team. And they also have Sarah Pledge Dixon, played for Carleton, played for Crank, is also joining the squad. And on top of that, they get also another transfer from your defending champions, McMaster University. They get Sasha Palmert. So a top player on Crux, played against her this past season, was impressed with how she played. And so she's going to join Ottawa, and they're going to be definitely retooled this season. Guelph is the next team in this pool, 6th team in our power rankings. They were close last year. They did the lose-lose Sia, unfortunately, on Friday and lost both games by 1. They did win D2. No major losses from what I've been told. They have Samantha Mock, who played for Incognito, Ariane Yang from Crash, Rhea Palmer from Local 613, and then longtime veteran Mei Nguyen, or Mei Win, if I said that right, from Crash. Has also played Union in the past. And speaking of Union, they have Brianna Prentice, who just won a silver with them. Saw her at WUC tryouts based on some media out there, and played a big role for the TCU 24 mixed team. So this group of returners could make some noise and hoping to crack D1 this season. Waterloo, next team in this pool. They got some club players back like Maggie Trong from Crash and Jillian Zhu from Incognito and Allison Gorber, who played for Oz. I think their ceiling is going to be a bit lower, though, this year with Tiffany Zhang no longer playing. You might know that name, Sixers, U20, U24. And Jolene Zhang, who played for U24 in Bent, and Connie Xiong, who played for Red Flag. They get a U20 player, Frederica Gini, I believe from Italy. That's kind of cool. And the last team in this pool is Brock, 8th in D2 last year, hoping to build on that. I think this is Ottawa's pool to win. So Guelph versus Queen should be a good matchup. Guelph, I believe, will be missing Brianna Prentice because she'll be playing with Union. And that's something I should have said at the beginning is, especially on the open side, you'll hear me talk about it. Some players will be missing due to playing club regionals, which we just previewed earlier. So keep that in mind when you're making picks or thinking about what's going to happen in this tournament. So in terms of format, the first and second of each pool will play in the semis. The other 5 teams playing a round robin to determine 5th. I have McMaster winning the pool over U of T, and I have Ottawa winning pretty handily their pool, with Guelph coming second. Sorry, Queens. So in the semis, I have Mac over Guelph and Ottawa over Toronto. And in a close final, I haven't rode this team last year. I don't think I picked them, and they proved me wrong. So I'm going to pick Mac to win at home this season. I know they lost some people, but hey, maybe that hometown feeling going to help them. So I got them winning this tournament, and I have Toronto coming in 3rd, and then Western taking 5th. Okay, so that's on the women's side. Open a few more teams. So we'll discuss all the pools happening. We'll start with the first pool. Definitely not Pool A, even though I wrote it in the notes as such. But anyways, Ottawa, your defending silver medalists. They will be missing people due to regionals with Phoenix and then also Mephisto for Max Ayad. So there's going to be no Marty Gallant, unless, of course, they decide to stay and play this tournament. Hey, that's your choice. Rookie of the Year last year, Desmond Staples. He was the first runner-up for the Huckin Hart Award. Love that. Sam Tremblay-La Rochelle and Logan Keylor are all big-time players for them. They did lose Sam's brother, ATL, Alex Tremblay-La Rochelle, Devon Asamoah. But their biggest loss, of course, has to be Cam Kennedy, which I'll talk about in the Queens preview. They do add Cam Knox, though. Player on pipe, former Brock captain. played for the Rush as well. And then a couple Ignite pieces, Theo Gobil and Noah Berube. They also add Habib Atala, who also joins Luke Phelan, who won the Coach of the Year last year. Did a remarkable job. I really like Luke as a coach, and I think that's really going to help Ottawa to have another bona fide coach in Habib, who got named as a U20 assistant, which we talked about before. So Ottawa looking primed, ready to go. They're going to have to contend with Laurier, a team that, I'm going to say this, Laurier fans not going to like it, but a team that could maybe contend for a D2 title. I think D1 ambitions maybe a little bit too high. I don't know if they have the depth for it, but they bring back Justin Lowe, one of the heartbeats of that team, U20, U24, play for Pipe. A couple other Pipe players in Jackson McKee and Brady Cockhill. They got a Dino player coming in, Luke Wilkie, and some Toro players. So, hey, maybe they could crash into D1 at some point, perhaps on Friday. Maybe they win this tournament. You never know. Rounding out this pool is Waterloo B. So unfortunately for the B squads, I don't have as much notes on you. So Waterloo B, wish you the best. Now, next pool. That's Waterloo A. 7th in our power rankings. Jack Park is back. Played for Pipe this past season. Has played for the Rush and Union as well. Arthur Chow, who's played for GT and Hound. And then Spencer Dillon, who played for Hound this year on their O-line. They do lose James Carprise. Big loss for them. Kind of heartbeat of this team. That's why he was second runner-up for that award. And then Scott Graham. Furious George, played for Team Canada, first runner-up for Player of the Year. They also lose Ben Labonte from Phoenix and super athletic Lawrence Mack. They bring in someone from Frankfurt, Jos Klaflang, and then Ross McMullen from Toro. So I think they're going to have to scrap and claw for D1, but hey, one tournament at a time. So maybe with some of the teams not as strong, perhaps, because of club regionals, they could snatch the bid. That's what you want to do. TMU, next team in the pool, 12 seed overall. They got Cole Becker and Matt Feldman, their captains. They're back. They bring in Kaido Squance from Dino. Hey, he could maybe impact some things. Big, tall receiver for them. There's also Trent plus Ontario Tech. Elavon Jivaraja and Curtis Campbell. They both play on Union, so I believe they're going to be at regionals. But hey, they elevate the ceiling of this team. Logan DeFore, Hound and Rush, and then Jimmer. He was one of our first, I think he was our first ever Beaver Tales guest. We retired that segment, but he was there. There's also Harry Norris from Toro. Keep an eye out for that kid, one of the top recruits out there. Now, Pool C. Put this in my notes to watch out for this team in caps, and I truly believe that. Yeah, they're the 3 seed in our power rankings, 3 seed in the tournament. They have a strong core. Yes, they had a disappointing Nationals, but hey, they cruised in victories at the other tournaments. Steeltown and Easterns went undefeated. Dax Miller, Rookie of the Year, first runner-up. Last season, U24, GOAT, like just all-around big player. Will.i.am Dixon. I always have to do a Will.i.am or for whoever's Will, so some more Will players start playing Frisbee. Will.i.am Dixon played for Red Circus, was our Huckin Hard Award winner last season. They returned Tyler Gunasekara, the top point scorer in mixed. Tyg Tomlinson, Tyre Biz Frizz, finest. Lucas Coster, Thomas Onier. I can keep going. Declan Gaynor, Quentin Malik, Ben Sigurdsson, who all played, and Evan Jones, who all played for Local 613. And they returned Eli Park. I'm not sure if he's actually going to play in the fall, because I know he's coming off an injury. But hey, keep an eye out for that team in general. Kai Huang comes from Toro. And then on top of all of what I just said, they return. They also get the top transfer in one of the top transfers in the Open Division, because I'll talk about another one in Cam Kennedy. So this is a fired up team. This is a chance for them to get the bid without other like Quebec teams like McGill being in the picture. So they're going to have to contend with York, and they're going to have to contend with Toronto B. And for York, you want to avoid losing to a fellow Toronto team early in the season. So now next pool has Carleton, number 4 seed overall, 6 seed in the power rankings. They want to get out of D2 purgatory. So they've been stuck in this like D2 purgatory where they win D2, but they can't get into D1. They're trying to break through. Could this be the year for them? They do have some Phoenix people on the squad, like Brandon Addibay and Liam Dagler. Noah Bailey, I think he's been at Carleton forever. He's back. Cam Somerville from Crank. And he's played Phoenix. Owen Dagler, one of the top rookies in the country. I think he'll contend for Rookie of the Year award voting. That's if, of course, Carleton makes D1. But if they do, I think Owen Dagler will have a good chance to win that award. And then there's Pat Mapp, who's played on Phoenix and Phoenix, Battleship. He's a big-time receiver. So if he joins Carleton, they're going to be joining Carleton. That's going to help them. They do lose some key players though. Ian Wallace, U24 player. Ben Simmons, who's now coaching the B team. Chris Lay and Jake Lockhead. Now there's Brock. Are they Brock now? No more BB Flatball? So I don't know if they have a lot of players kind of similar to the Brock women's team where have a lot of club experience. And also I don't even see a roster. So anyways, they're kind of the unknown mystery. And then McMaster B is out there as the 15th seed in the tournament. Now next pool, we got U of T A. We got them 10 in the power rankings. They came second in Div 2. They lose Nam Ho, played for Danger Noodle and Hound in the past, and Mikey Leung, as well as George Lepper. But they return Ojin Lee from Pipe, Justin Chung from GT. Their captain, or one of their captains is Ojin. And then they have Declan Jackson, Katan Vasudeva, who has played for Hound. And then I was told to watch out for Edward Hartle. Martin Shue from Pipe is a nice ad for them, but their big ad is definitely Kevin Tong. You might have seen that in the power rankings when people were talking about it, but has played for Red Flag U24 as well. Second runner-up for Defensive Player of the Year. On the coaching staff for Dino Open, so he also has a coaching experience which he can help with a younger squad to kind of elevate them. They got some Asian imports as well from that part of the world. Cecil Chung, Hong Kong U24, and Isaiah Lo Kai En from Singapore Disc Knights. So hey, maybe some of this coalescing of pieces can get them into D1. This is going to be the game to watch in this tournament, by the way, at least early on in pool play. It's going to be Toronto versus Guelph. So Oscar Stonehouse, AUDL superstar, as he's been told around the world. Griffin McKee are back. Thomas Panayotopoulos playing with Union. Noah Nishizaki, who I shouted out before and called him Nolan. It's actually Noah. And then Kelsey Milani as well, who played for Crash. They do lose Elavan, who I talked about earlier, Jivaraja, and then Kyle Newbigging. No real big-time ads. They added a player from Toronto Remix, Randy Vo, but this team has a strong core that could maybe do some things. And you'll hear about that in the picks, potentially. So they also have Carleton B in their pool. So 2 teams fighting for respect in Pool H. That's the 6 seed Western, 8 seed McMaster. So we'll start with Western. They got some club players, right? They got Adam Yates from GT. They got Matt Lamb from Pipe. Chance Jiang from Fight Club. Chase Gardner? I don't know why I have it written as Chance, but Campbell Gardner, that's his name, from Roy. They also have Marcus Wong, who played for Hong Kong back in 2018, the juniors level. But they do lose some club players as well. So you have some return, but you also lose some. So Eric Zwang, who's played for Phoenix and Phoenix, Ben Clark from Pipe, Blake Harriott from GT, Jason Liu, who's played for Blackfish, Rob Sun, who's played for Boat, and Gavin Lee, who's played for Hound. They have 4 Toro players joining their squad and Braden Young from Nitro. So they're trying to retool kind of like how the women's team did with their recruiting class. McMaster, they got some top-end players, okay? Jared Wonder is back, has played with Rumble. I remember commenting one of the games, I believe it was the final, and I was pretty impressed with how he played defensively. Caden Markle, who's played for GT, was actually on the practice squad for DC Rally. So that's pretty cool. Ben Belanger played on the summer roster for Crash. They added some Team Manitoba players, or should I say MoFo players, but you got to say Team Manitoba now. Connor Minish and Yuan Bohm, and then Parker Miller from Peterborough. Queens B, who I was told to put some respect on the name in the comments, they're the last seed in this pool. So after pool play, there's a crossover. And then they get shifted into pools of 3. The top 2 pools are K and L, which are like power pools. The winners of those pools will meet in finals. The second ones will be fighting for 3rd, etc. Pools M and N will be battling for 7th. So based on how things go, in the power pools, I have Ottawa, Carleton, and Guelph in 1, and I have Waterloo, Queens, and U of T in the other. I'm going to make this crazy off-the-wall pick. I'm hoping it doesn't bite me in the butt, but it might. So Guelph, I know it's your homecoming. I really hope you guys take this tournament and you're like fired up. I'm going to entrust that Oscar Stonehouse and company can beat an Ottawa and Carleton teams that don't have all their players. So I have Guelph going to the finals. Okay. Guelph, hopefully you prove me right. On the other side, I have Queens taking out Waterloo and U of T, and I have Queens winning comfortably with the pieces that they have. I know they might be missing people due to regionals because some of them play club, but like Cam, for example. But I still think they have the talent to win this tournament. I have Waterloo beating Ottawa for 3rd simply because of who Ottawa's missing. And this does affect seeding for Eastern, so teams, don't phone it in. Okay, you got to play all the way to the end, especially on Sunday, even those placement games. Okay. Now, That was Steeltown. There's another tournament happening with bids on the line for nationals, and that is CQUUC, the finale. They had one tournament already, which we didn't talk about in the news because I was going to talk about it here. There's some B squads. We'll talk a lot about the A squads and kind of what they have. I mean, that first tournament, is it preseason? I don't know. It's like a week before technically a bid is handed out, but since there's no bid handed out, maybe it's considered preseason. But anyways, the number 1 seed overall is Laval Excellence. They were undefeated at that tournament I just mentioned. They return Victoria Trahan from Venus, Flavie Fortin from Quest, Rosemary Nadeau-Tremblay from Cube, Sarah Maud Emott has been a veteran on this team, and then Emily Rochefort from Quest as well. They do lose Roxanne Goder, who's played Iris TCU 24, and Leah Morneau, who's back in as assistant coach, plays for Cube. Gabrielle Allard, who also plays for Cube, is coming back as an advisor. And I've been told they also lost some players that played cold. I didn't know that they were eligible for that and played university, but that's interesting. They have big recruits, though. Maëlle Roux out of Cube. And then, I don't know how this happened, but Penelope Robert is playing for them. Didn't know she was still eligible in college, but Iris U20, one of the U24 standouts for Canada, is on this team. Probably playing with Iris this weekend, so will they be able to do and win this title without Robert in the lineup? Next in their pool is Verteor, Sherbrooke. They have lots of rookies on the squad if you look at their roster. They were 5th in D2 last year, 2-1 last Saturday, but didn't play like Laval Excellence or McGill. Astrid Cotter, Emile Diavon, Dominique Labelle, Carol Ann Bourgoin, and Fanny Letourneau have played for EXO, which is the club team out of Sherbrooke. So perhaps that club experience can help them. They will take on Laval Elite, which is the second team out of Laval, their club. Laval did lose to Verteor 8-2 last weekend, so a little rematch. They came 14th in D2 last season. Speaking of D2, the last seed in this tournament and pool is McGill B. They were the best B team in the women's side last season, so hoping to continue that. Now switching over to the other pool, which is McGill A. They're the highest seed. They're last year's bronze medalists. They lost to Laval, though, at the first tournament. They lose a few players. Okay, so they lose Joy Zhao, who's played for Iris in U24. Leanne Campbell, our player of the year. Nina Prévost, our defensive player of the year. Some Venus players in Gwinnell Patton-Toad and Tracy Dyer, and as well as Chloe Merritt, who we mentioned is going to U of T. They do bring back Hannah Smith, who's been on the team for a bit. Marianne Morissette played for Cube. Maya List, who's played for Incognito. And they add Emma Ernest, who's played multiple Team Canadas, and Iris. Is it a rebuilding year, or is it a chance for them to continue to play D1? Time to find out. They're going to have to deal with the likes of UDM, the 3rd seed in the tournament, 2nd seed in the pool. Came 7th in D2 last year. Lost by 3 to Laval Excellence last weekend. Anna Ford still has played for Oz. They have a couple of Venus players as well, Miriam Lazette and Roxanne Dubrow-Leduc. And then Julianne Fournier and Vlada Chiorba have played for Momentum, which is a team I think we talked about in the CUC kind of recaps. A new squad, part of the Club M system. They get to play their B squad, and I don't think they had a B squad last season. I could be wrong, but in my research I didn't find it. So this is kind of cool for UDMB to have a team. And then there's UQUAM, the number 7 seed overall. They were 13th in D2 last year. So, hey, they're trying to make some noise. Now, in terms of what the setup is, it's just traditional quarters, semis, and finals. So I'm going to go kind of chalky here. So I have Excellence beating UDM in one semi, and then I have McGill over Verteor in the other. And then I'm going to keep it chalk and trust that Laval is going to book their ticket to nationals and be the women's Quebec representative, at least the first one. You know, there could be another. McGill going to have to battle it out at Easterns the weekend after. So for open, what do we got? We got one pool of 4 and one pool of 5. So we'll start with a pool of 5. Pool C, Verteor, 8 in their power rankings. And hey, some people might say they should be higher. They did beat McGill at the tournament last weekend. Are they the real deal, or is it a flash in the pan? We're going to find out. They got all 3 Leonard brothers on the team. That is super cool. I don't know how many college teams have like 3 brothers all play together. It's pretty cool. Felix did play a big role for the TCU 24 mixed team. So I was really impressed with his performance at that tournament. They also returned Julien Bernat, who's also on that same team, and also played for the Royale. And then they have Ascension players like Xavier Blanchette and David Vigneault-Lecomte. They got some recruits from Red Fox, Antoine Dubé specifically. who's also played for Royale. And seeing him in the mixed game, I know he's a pretty strong receiver, so he adds a lot for this team. They don't have Samuel Dupont-Greton, though, play for Phoenix, and Jacob Duquette, a U24 player. So they're kind of in that bubble D1, D2 territory. But perhaps they could sneak the bid in without some of the players for this next team we're going to talk about, which is UDM, the 5 senior power rankings. Their first tournament was told they had a mix of A and B players, so not their full team. They got lots of Mephisto and Royale players on this squad, almost a whole line of them. Julian Seneschal is one of them, and then Iwan Cohoner, who's our Defensive Player of the Year last season, Charles Guay, Rafael Salves, Thomas Dubois, and Dylan Lacombe. They do lose Melvin Brichet, who's played for Mephisto, France U20. And then they also lose a couple other Mephisto Royale players in Elliot Alwar, Raphael Lalonde-Landry, and Will St. Pierre. I believe they also all played U24s as well. Keep an eye out for names like Loic Gagliardi, Laurent Corville, and Leo Gringas. These are players that maybe you haven't heard about in the club scene, but hey, the Montreal coaching staff said, watch out for them. Philippe Portois is back. He was a second runner-up with Malik Oj-Samar. Don't believe Malik is back, but Philippe is. So this team, perhaps underrated a bit, but they're not going to have all their Mephisto players. So they might have to fight out for the bid on Friday because I don't think they go to Easterns normally. Now there's Laval Espoir. So this team is, I was told there's like 3 like Laval teams. So this is like kind of maybe some CJEP players. I don't know exactly. I was talking to Batch about this. But there's definitely some players that can game on this team. They have UQUAM next in the pool, 8 seed overall. They got some Manic players, Raphael Cinq-Mars, Antoine Debian, and Victor Poit-Sokolski. And then McGill B, which was the best B team in 2022, is back in action, round out the pool. Now the next pool has McGill A, 4 in our power rankings, number 2 overall seed in the tournament. They returned their whole core, except for Hayden Stone, who you might know, played for Mephisto Royale and Double Wide. So they have Calvin Colberry, played for U24 Mixed. Tynan Peterson, along with Owen Kolinsky, our second runner-up for Offensive Player of the Year. Macaluke Green, who just played with the Flatballers. U20 player Nathan Wu, and another one in the Rookie of the Year runner-up, or second runner-up, I believe, Aidan McGibbon. So they added Kai O'Donnell, who's one of the top recruits out there, especially on the eastern side of the country, from Dino. And they added a D1 track athlete from Cornell, Clayton Jeffrey. That can just out-jump everyone and just win every sky ball. That'd be kind of cool. Next is Laval Excellence. Some people say, hey, we're not high up on this Laval team, but I was told they lost a lot of people. Okay, if you look at their roster, it looks very new. Perhaps PAOK playing a role into that because Quake is going to PAOK, so maybe some people choosing not to play college, or maybe they graduate, But here's some players they lost. Olivier Bastien, Vincent Genet, Antoine Rousseau, Liam McCoyne, Robin Dubé, Olivier Gamache, and Zachary Morneau. Most of those people have played for Quake. McCown and Rousseau played for Mephisto. And I'm hoping I get that last name right because I know it's not McEwen. So McCoyne or McCown, one of the two. They had lots of people from Elite last year. I count almost 13 from their B squad that's now on the A squad this year. They do have Victor Courredeau from Quake and Nicholas Jacqueline from Quest. In their pool, they also have Volontaires, which is a CJEP Sherbrooke squad. So that's kind of fun to have like a CJEP team. So for those that aren't familiar, I don't even know too much about it, but I think it's like a bridge between high school and university. So it's like 2 years after. They don't really, it's kind of like, I think it's kind of their grade 12 and first year, like it's together. So, Quebec people tell me if I'm wrong, but CJEP, kind of like grade 12 and grade 13. You can call it like that. The last team in this pool is Laval Elite, which is the B squad. So after pool play, only the top 2 teams make it into the semis. So I'm going to go chalky. I'm going to have McGill versus Laval, and then Montreal, who's the second team out of the pool, taking on Sherbrooke. I have McGill and Sherbrooke winning, especially with some of Montreal's missing pieces. And I'm going to take McGill here. I'm going to say that we have them high on the power rankings. I think even though they have that head-to-head loss right now, the week before, I trust their experience is going to come through and they're going to not have to try to get a bid at Easterns, and they're just going to take it easy and enjoy Easterns, get some more experience, and then ride in to the CUUC sunset into Brampton So that was a lot of preview action. Thank you for all the teams who sent info. This wouldn't have been possible without the team sending in info and talking about their players. So thank you for all of that. That is the preview. That is the episode for today. Thank you for tuning in. Be a subscriber so you can check out the Field Pass on Sunday. We'll do a new power rankings next week once the tournaments have kind of ended. And then there's also the other provinces getting into action. So Prairies will have a tournament. And that's going to be really interesting because USAU Manitoba, who's first in our open power rankings right now, some say maybe too high. They lost some people, but they also gained some big recruits. They're going to be missing some players due to regionals because North Central Regionals, as I mentioned at the top, is happening the week later, which is actually going to affect some of the university action. So perhaps another Prairies team can make it to CUUC. That'd be pretty fun. So thank you for tuning in. Continue to be a follower on Instagram, and if you're not already, do that. Engage with our power rankings. We do enjoy that. And next week, hopefully, both of us will be back in action together. More news coming down the pipe personally as well, which you may hear about at some point. But thank you again for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.